I just beat Gotham Chess and it is crazy. Of course, I beat his chess bot on chess.com, but it's literally a 2500 rated bot. And I am like 2100 rated, and oh my goodness, the game was so intense till the end. I am like astonished about how it ended. So yes, watch the video till the end because I'm going to take you through the entire game on how I beated Gotham Chess. Yes, let's go. So I started the game with 1e4, which I do always. And we see the Karo Khan because of course it's the Gotham Chess bot. Then I played the Moon Knight f3 because this two knights variation is my favorite. And here I have like 3 lines prepared by myself. One is take, which is my favorite line because I play a lot of gambits over there. The second, which many players play, that is bishop to g4. And the third I'm prepared with knight to f6. But the Gotham chess bot like blew me away by playing the move a6, which I do not know why do black play in the Karo Khan a6, but okay, there might be some theory or something. So I just continued by playing the move d4, which is taking the center. Then he played the move bishop g4, and I know that here when players play bishop g4, at that time play h3, and if it takes, then take with the queen, and white is doing good. Let's say after something like this, you can also play bishop c4 and then put your knight behind, and white is better. So here after a6, which he played in the game, and bishop g4, I played the move h3. He took, I took with the queen. Now he played the move e6 and I went with bishop e3, and I was just planning to develop my pieces and wait for what black is going to do. We see knight f6, and here many people get tempted of playing the move e5, and I also used to get so tempted of playing e5 because it just is a tempo. You gain more space and you are attacking the knight. But I do not like it now because after e5, knight goes back and then c5 comes in, and then these two central pawns get so weak. Like it's a pathetic game afterwards just defending those center pawns. So I never played this e5, and instead I used to just capture this pawn and then play ahead. But I thought to put like to keep tension in the game, and hence I played the move bishop d3, which was also, let me see, yep, the best move in the game. Now he did not take, he played the move bishop e7. His plan is to castle, and now here I started going crazy. Here the move castle is, I don't know how, but I'm already +1. But I did not castle and thought that my pieces are already developed. I can anytime take this and launch an attack in the king's side. And hence I went with the move g4, which I knew was not a very good move, but okay, I thought it's a good try. You can go with g4, h4, somehow bring the f pawn as well to the attack. So I went with the move g4. But as soon as I played g4, he took the pawn. Now I took, he took, and I took with the queen. And now I saw why he took the pawns, because he played the move queen d5, and now I see that g4 weakens this diagonal, and now I cannot move my queen anywhere because this rook is hanging. So now the queen had to be traded off. So I thought, well, okay, we are going to an endgame. So I played the move c4, taking into account that this check comes, I can play bishop d2. Okay. And if bishop check comes, I can simply play king to e2 and keep my king in the center, and that is also okay. But he did not give any checks. Instead, he just took my queen. I took it, and now I love my position because I have the central bishops. Also, if he gives a check, I'm okay to just play king e2 because the queens are off the board, and it's like a little like an endgame. So I'm okay to keep my king in the center. Now, but he castled. Then here the best move was to play d5, and I am literally +1 again. but I instead played the move h4, going for the attack. So this is something I like to be aggressive. G4 h4. I was also planning something like f4 f5 because I see his pieces are not very well developed, whereas my bishops are very good. But the point is d5 was the best move, because if everything gets exchanged, my bishop right here is very strong, and his light squares are very weak. So I could take advantage of that, and hence I had to play d5. But h4 on the board, then we see f5, and here, though g takes f5 was the best move, I did not like it much because black takes it and then black has good pawns. But if I play behind and I know this is coming, and then I'll just go behind, but this pawn stays behind and it is very weak, which I can take advantage of later on, and hence I played bishop f3. Here, surprisingly, I do not know how, but f4 is a very humanly move. And of course, he's a bot right now, but it's a very natural move. And I was expecting it, and he played it. But it's a blunder. And I'm already plus 1.6. Bishop d2 is forced because, of course, I'm not going to play bishop c1. But then I do not know why is this such a advantage to white, but I'll tell you why. So he played knight d7, and I had to castle here, which was the best move. Because see, my point was I wanted to bring my rooks to the center, but I can't move my h rook because this pawn is hanging, and hence I castled so that I can bring my other rook to the center and attack this weak pawn, which I hadn't planned later. So now he played the move e5, and now we see why that this was weak, because d5, every single time d5 comes in, and this pawn is going to be very weak. Playing this and committing this pawn to f4 was very bad for black, because these both pawns are weak now. If this pawn was behind, he could always push this and go in to the center. But now d5 was something that never popped into my head the entire game. It was so winning here, like plus 1.6, but I did not think of d5. What I thought, which was the second best move, was rook d1, rook de1, because it attacks this pawn, also pins it, because black cannot take it as the bishop is hanging. So he played bishop d6, which was the best move. And now I took a halt, because I had three moves in my mind. One was to take, the other was c5, and then bishop c3. Now takes was something I just took it out of my mind, because knight comes in and this is attack, then f3 can come in. So that was a terrific move. So I just ignored takes, I just neglected it. The second move, which I thought c5, was the second best move in the position, by the way. I did not play that because I thought the bishop would sit on c7, and okay, black can always somehow take advantage of this close position, and I did not want to commit very soon, and hence I played the move bishop f3. But this was the blunder, a big blunder in the position, because from plus 1.5 nearly I went to nothing. So yeah, d5 was one of the turning points I had to play in the game, but I played bishop c3. Okay, he took, I took, and he played the move bishop c5. Here also engine suggests bishop takes c5 is the only best move for white to have some advantage, but instead I played the move rook d1, because of course I did not want it to take, because black will get a tempo and come inside, and also I cannot move this bishop because this hangs. So I thought the only move left is rook d1, so I played that. He took, and then played the move knight e5. Now you see that rook d1 was bad because it allowed a knight e5, because what it does, it attacks this, threatens this if my rook is not there, if let's say rook gets exchanged, and also attacks the c5 c4 pawn. So that's why I had to like exchange on this square the bishop, so that the knight does not sit in the center and become so powerful. Also, this knight also attacks this pawn, so my bishop is pinned. So this knight is like a monster right now. Now what I had to do, this bishop is attacked. If I just go one square behind, then f3 is coming in. I'm losing this and my position is also going to be terrible. I cannot go into the center because the pawn is hanging, and hence the only move I had was bishop d1, which I played, which was another blunder because bishop e2 was the best move. I do not know why. Bishop e2, let's see, f3 and bishop f1. Oops, this is a very cramped position. I would never go for this. So like I just played bishop d1. Okay, then he played rook ad1, best move. I had to exchange, I exchanged it, and now I played the move f3 by myself. So now here I was like, okay, my position is okay, though black is like -1 now. I thought, okay, I did not allow f3, my pawn is on f3, everything is defended well, and I think I'll bring my rook somehow, which you'll see later on. So he came rook d4, attacking the pawn. Also, you might note that this pawn was hanging, but he did not take because I think he was afraid of bishop b3 and some threats. So he brought his rook to d4. I played c3 so that now this pawn does not hang, and he played the move b5. Now I did not think, okay, b5 also is a blunder, it seems. Yep, it's not in the top 3 moves, and moves like king f7 and rook d3 was the best move, but he played b5. Now I thought that taking was the very natural response to b5, because if he takes, then everything opens up and my king is very open. So I just took it, and then I played the move rook to h2. This was something very I thought this was something desperate I had to play, because here I wanted to bring my rook out, but the knight always sits here and forks my king and the rook. So the only way I can come out was, I thought, from putting my rook to h2. This also gives me options to put my rook to e1, e2, d2 or c2, whatever I like. Now he played the move h5. So he sacrificed a pawn, which I do not know why. The only thing I think the bot might have thought is that if I take, then he could somehow put his rook here, give some checks, and then win this pawn, and my pawn structure goes bad. So I think that's why he played h5. And I thought that let me not take it, because let's say if he takes, I take, my bishop is already defending the pawn. Let's say he plays f3 afterwards, so that this pawn goes hanging because my bishop no longer defends it. And let's say even if it takes the g4 pawn, then I'll take the f3 pawn with my bishop, and I think the end game would be somewhat drawish. So I thought, okay, I'll go in there, in that line. So I did not choose to take the h5 pawn, and instead I went with the move rook d2, which was the second best move. And now the rook is nearly forced to exchange itself, because the only square it can go is the b4 square, but then a3 and the rook is trapped. So the rook had to exchange. So takes, I took it, and now, yep, we are in the end game now. And the position here is, these pawns are little weak, but these pawns are on the light square. I have the bishop. The bishop is very good when we have pawn islands on both the sides of the board. So here we have pawns on this side of the board as well as this side of the board. So I think bishop is doing very good. Now it's black to play, and he, instead of taking the pawn, he played the move g5, giving up another pawn. So now I had the only move to take the g5 pawn, because if I do not take the pawn, he takes it and then he's going to queen. So I had to take it, and I took it, and he played the move h4. Of course he gave up the pawn, but h4 is like the only thing I think he wanted to play, and hence he played g5, correct? So I went with king e1, going behind this pawn, and I'm in time because I'm inside this box, correct? The box rule. Yep, this is the box. My bad. I'm not good at drawing, but yeah, he went king here, king to f7 to chop off my g5 pawn. I went inside, he came in, king g2, and he took the pawn. So now the material is equal, but what advantage I think I have, though engine says 0.00, is I have a bishop. And a bishop is very good when pawns are on both sides. Though knights are also tricky, and my king is literally trapped right now. The only thing now is that my king is defending this pawn and also not allowing this pawn to queen, so I can free up my bishop, and hence I played the move bishop to c2. He gave me a check, I had to take it, and now he took the pawn. And now there is one issue, is that I cannot move my king. If my king moves, then this pawn will hang, and then he'll just queen. So that's one issue, and hence I played the move bishop to f5, so that this bishop is defended by, this pawn is defended by my bishop, and now I can move my king if I want to. He went knight to e5, which is not a good move. The best move was to play something like a5 or b4, because my bishop is going to come behind these pawns. So these pawns have to be on dark squares, and hence b4 and a5 were meant to be played. But he played knight e5. I now played the move b4, literally just the next move, so that now the pawns, black pawns, cannot advance, and I can go behind these pawns and chop off them easily. Correct. So knight went to c6. I went a3 because knight c6 was attacking the b4 pawn. So I played the move a3. He went behind, and now bishop comes to c8. So now the game started again having some life. He went knight to c4. I thought, okay, I take this pawn, knight takes this, and then the knight is stuck defending this, because wherever the knight moves, I'll chop off this. And let's say even if he takes this, let's say knight comes here, I chop off this pawn, he takes this pawn, then okay, I'm okay with a draw, like against Gotham chess, of course. But here was the turning point of the game. I took this pawn, and it was a blunder. Oh my god, because he does not take the pawn. Instead, he plays the move knight d6, which was the best move in that position. And even though I'm a pawn up, a knight 2 squares away from a bishop is a monster. It like just takes every single square from the bishop and traps it. Now I'm under zugzwang. My king cannot move because of course this pawn is hanging. This pawn moves, then it hangs, and this bishop moves, then that also hangs. So the only way out, I thought, was from these three moves, let me give up the pawn again. He took it. Now the pawns are equal, but he's completely winning because this is queening. So I played the move bishop d3. What it does is, my idea was just to put this like this, the bishop, and I'm just in time to not allow black to queen yet. He played a3, bishop b1, and now he played the move knight b5. Knight b5 does not allow my pawn to move. I cannot move my king, and hence I had to move my bishop. He came and attacked my bishop. I moved my bishop. Okay, and now a2 was completely winning for black, and I was literally going to resign. Oh my god, because you see, a2 happens, let's say. I was thinking like I had to take, because otherwise he queens, correct? So I take, knight takes, and then I push my pawn. The knight comes here, I push it. The knight comes here, I push it. Then knight comes and sets on b8, and now I have to move my king. I move my king, and this pawn lost, and he's going to queen, and black is winning. But he did not play the move a2, surprisingly, and played the move f3, and now it is a draw again. Crazy stuff. But the only move that I had to play to draw was the move b5. Now in the hell, who just sacrifices the pawn like this with like no point? But the point is, I played the move, okay, sorry about this, I played the move king g3, which is the most logical move in the position, winning this pawn. But this leads to knight e2 check. I take the pawn and he gives a check and wins my bishop. So black is completely winning again. But surprisingly, he did not give a check. But I'll just tell you why b5 was winning. The point was b5 was now the knight is too far from my king. It's very far, correct? Now I play king g3 and I win this pawn, and now it's a draw because my bishop will sack for this pawn somewhere and it's a draw. So I had to play b5, but instead I played king g3 and he also missed. He also missed and played king f6. But king f6 still is winning for black. I went behind, and now, sorry about that position lines, but here knight e4 check was winning because still if I take, then he has a check and he wins my bishop. But he missed that again and played the move king g5 and it's a draw again. So now I took the pawn. Now there's no checks, correct? And I'm not losing my bishop. He went behind, I played this, and now again he can play the move a2. He can play the move a2 and it's a draw. But I do not know why he played the move king to g6 and allowed my king to come in. Okay, sorry about these arrows, but like I'm literally winning, I think, from here. Let me show you why a2 was winning here, because if he plays a2, I take this, then what happens now is he can take this, pawn pushes, I attack, it attacks my pawn, I have to push, and now this check and the pawn is lost. So that's why a2 was like the drawish move here. But he did not play a2. I went with my king. Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that sneak peek. And here some of the only moves that defended black was knight d1 and knight a4. The point of both the moves is to sit here, give a knight fork, and then go on to queen. And somehow it's a draw. But here, black, Gotham chess, 2500, played the move a2. And now black does not draw because now my king is here and not here. And that's such a subtle variation in the position that changes the entire evaluation, and I brutally sacrificed my bishop, which I had to. He took and I pushed my pawn. And there's no way stopping the pawn. Because let's say knight b4 check comes, which did not happen in the position. I just play king c4 and the knight cannot proceed anywhere. It has to go behind here, only square, and then I queen. Correct. He did not give a check. He went for the other pawn now. I do not know why. And I played king c4, not allowing the knight to come in, and simply I made a queen. And now was the position where I had to win against a knight and a lone king, which of course, being at 2100, I can't do that much. So my simple plan was to box up the black king. So I brought my king in. There were some repetitions, but then I brought my queen inside, very close to the black king. And the only thing I had to keep in mind was my queen and the king, my king. Both have to be on the opposite square always, because the knight, whenever it forks on the same square. Let's say it comes here and forks, then it attacks on the same square always. Whenever it attacks on the same square. So if my queen and the king are on different squares, I can never ever lose my queen. Correct? So that was one of my plans. I played here. Always you can see my king is on the opposite square. I came this side, and now I came in with my queen and played the move queen to g8. And the king is boxed in with so little squares to go. And now the only thing I had to bring my king in, it's a checkmate threat, so the knight gave a check, and now the knight was also out of moves. Black had to give up the knight, and then slowly and steadily I brought in my king and checkmate. Oh my freaking god. I just defeated Gotham Chess bot on chess.com 2500. It was like, I'll show you the game review if I can. Oof, it was such a topsy-turvy game in the end with subtle differences in the end game. which a 2500 bot also missed. So this is how you can see the graph. In the opening also I was little winning, but then it went down, then I was completely losing, then winning, then it's a draw, then losing, then draw, then I won. Whew, 88% accuracy with a 2500 game rating. Wow, it was a very nice game, I suppose. So I think it was something entertaining for you guys also. If you are till now watching the video, do like the video, do subscribe to my channel, and hit the subscribe button. Do comment down below how you like this video, and I will meet you in the next video. Till then, stay safe, play chess, and keep learning. Bye bye. Oof, I beat Gotham Chess. Oh my god.